Let's take a look at what our social studies objectives are for today. By the end of this lesson, I hope you are able to describe the climate, major physical features, and major natural resources in each region. Today, we will be focusing on the natural resources of the Northeast region. Let's recap. Pause here to reflect on where the Northeast region is. What are the states of the Northeast region? You can take out your mini booklet to help you. Let's go ahead and use this map and our song to help us recap. This map here shows the 11 states of the Northeast region. Why not just go ahead and practice singing the states and capitals together?
Augusta, Maine, Concord, New Hampshire, Montpelier, Vermont, Albany, New York, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Annapolis, Maryland, Dover, Delaware, and Trenton, New Jersey, Hartford, Connecticut, Providence, Rhode Island, Boston, Massachusetts. That's the Northeast region.
Great job! I hope you boys and girls were singing nice and loud. Now let's jump into what a natural resource is. A natural resource is something found in nature that can be used by the people. This means that resources do depend on the land available. Not all land has the same resources. Resources vary all across the country and even all across the world. The first type of natural resource is a renewable resource. This is one that can be replaced and can be replaced very easily. It naturally regenerates at the same rate that it is used. The second type is a non-renewable resource. This is one that cannot be easily replaced. It can be replaced, it just takes an extremely long time. There's also a limited supply of these resources. For the Northeast region, there are many different resources available, and they vary across the whole region based on the land type. This map here shows the various different land types found in the Northeast region. We see that in Maine, there's many green forests. We see the Appalachian Mountains running through the Northeast region, so there's a lot of mountains and rocks. We also see some flatlands. And of course, there's a lot of coastlines or shorelines in the Northeast region, as the Atlantic Ocean is basically our neighbor. Because of all these different land types in the Northeast region, we have many different types of natural resources that come from our region. Let's take a look at those examples. We have many green forests, and green forests make up lumber and maple syrup. Let me read you this excerpt from your informational packet to help describe this a little bit further. Maple syrup is made from the sap of maple trees. Vermont is the largest producer of maple syrup in the United States. When the trees are cut down, the pulpwood can be made into paper. Lumber can be used to make houses, furniture, and a lot of other things. However, most people must be careful not to cut down too many trees. It takes a long time for trees to grow really big. Here's an excerpt from our social studies textbook. The Northeast has many forests. Lumber was one of the first items traded by early settlers in the 1600s. By the 1800s, Maine had the largest lumber shipping port in the world. Logging is still an important industry today. In addition to using trees for wood, people use maple trees to make syrup. Harvesters tap a hole in the trunk of the sugar maple trees and hang a bucket to collect sap. The tree sap is boiled into maple syrup to be enjoyed. Settlers learned the technique from Native Americans. Vermont is now the largest producer of maple syrup in the United States. So, we've noticed from our map earlier that the Northeast region has a lot of green forest. What natural resources come from these green forests? Pause here to think about that. We get a lot of natural resources from these green forests in this area of the Northeast region. We get maple syrup, paper, houses, buildings, furniture, and even energy and heat when it's burned. I would say that lumber is really important in our society. I also have another question for you. Why is it important for the settlers of the Northeast region to have a good relationship with Native Americans? Pause here and think about that. Well, the text stated that the Native Americans helped the settlers access natural resources of the Northeast region. For example, Native Americans showed settlers how to extract sap from trees and then use it to make syrup. So it's pretty important that they had a good relationship with the Native Americans because they showed them how to access these important and useful natural resources. Another natural resource of the Northeast region includes seafood, such as fish, lobsters, and other shellfish. That is because the Northeast region has a lot of shorelines or coastlines. The Atlantic Ocean is our neighbor, and we get a lot of seafood from the Atlantic Ocean. Now I have a statement here. There are many fishermen jobs along the coast of Maine. Can you defend that statement with evidence? Pause here to think of that. I would defend the statement, there are many fishermen jobs along the coast of Maine, by saying facts including, Maine is right next to the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is rich in seafood that many people enjoy to eat and that can be used for medicine. People are needed to catch these fish, lobsters, and shellfish to trade or sell. Therefore, there needs to be many fishermen jobs available. Another natural resource from the flatlands of the Northeast region include crops. The flatlands of the Northeast region have soil that is rich in nutrients, which makes farming very easy, especially farming vegetables and fruits. Let's think back to yesterday's text. Can we compare and contrast farming in New England and in the Mid-Atlantic? Remember, New England are the 6 most northern states of the Northeast region, and then the Mid-Atlantic is the 5 remaining states that are closer towards the south. Let's compare and contrast the farming in both of those areas. I know that both the New England and the Mid-Atlantic portions of the Northeast region grow crops. That's how they are similar. But if I refer back to my text to describe how they are different, I see here that in New England, the soil is rocky. That makes it very difficult to grow many crops, and that they're limited in the crops that they can grow. They can grow potatoes, apples, blueberries, and cranberries in the New England portion of the Northeast region. We also know that dairy farming, or having a farm of cows to produce dairy, is pretty common too. That is different from the Mid-Atlantic portion, or the lower portion, because that land is more fertile. That is where the flatlands are located. Farmers here can grow so much more. They can grow grain, oats, corn, cabbage, and many other fruits and vegetables. The possibilities are endless in the lower Mid-Atlantic region. And that is how it is different from the upper New England region, or portion. Another natural resource comes from the mountainous areas and the rocky areas, especially where the Appalachian Mountains are found. Here we can find granite, iron, and coal. Miners dig for these natural resources. They are found underground. That's one thing that is unique about these natural resources of granite, iron, and coal. They're found underground. How is that different from the other natural resources we have discussed? Pause here to think about that. It's different because the other natural resources are found on the surface of land. Trees are grown on the surface of land, so are the crops. And it's different from the seafood because they're found undersea. So here we have to dig for coal, granite, and iron. So can you formulate a plan for obtaining these natural resources? Pause here and think of that. That's right. In order to obtain these natural resources, you would first need the proper equipment, such as safety gear, helmet, reflective suit, boots with a strong grip, gloves with a strong grip. You would even need some explosive devices to break down the rock, such as TNT, dynamite. You would need tools such as a pickaxe, a jackhammer, or giant drills such as the one shown in this photograph. You'd also need vehicles to transport these natural resources. They can get heavy. You'd also need a big crew with a map of the area. You would work to drill caves and quarries to find the natural resources to axe out. You'd also have to make sure the caves were safe and not exploding the walls to make them too thin to where they could cave in on you. Sounds like a dangerous job. Let's take another look at this map here. We discussed all the different land types found in the Northeast region. Now let's recap about what natural resources come from those areas. In green forest, we get lumber and maple syrup. The Atlantic Ocean provides us seafood. The Rocky Mountains provide us granite, coal, and iron. And finally, the flatlands provide us crops with many veggies and fruits. Now that we know the Northeast region provides us all of these great natural resources, I want you to think about this. In what ways do you think natural resources might be important to a region? Pause here to think about that. That's right. It provides food and building materials. Also, these items can be sold or traded to other places around the world to get other things that we need. It's now your turn. Boys and girls, if you are in Miss Pipitone's class, you will work on this page of your Northeast Region booklet. Be sure to describe the natural resources found in this region. Describe the types of man-made resources or products that are produced here. Once you are done that, you will pick one writing prompt to respond to. You will focus on the resource of minerals. Pretending that you are a quarry worker from New Hampshire, you'll write a letter to a friend describing a day in your life. Use the following text below to help you form your letter. Your second choice is to focus on the resource fish and shellfish. You will pretend that you are a lobster man from Massachusetts. Write a journal entry describing a day in your life while out at sea. You can use the following text to help form your entry. Your third choice is to focus on the resource crops. Pretend that you are a worker on a blueberry farm in New Jersey. Write a letter to a friend describing a day in your life while harvesting blueberries. You have some text here to help you as well. Your final choice is trees. Pretend that you are an owner of a maple syrup business in Vermont. Write a journal entry to a friend describing a day in your life harvesting syrup from trees. You also have a text here to help you write your entry. Remember, you will pick one of these 4 writing prompts and you will add to your Northeast Region booklet if you are in Miss Pipitone's class. Happy writing!